all you sports fans, did you know you can stream this podcast on Spotify right now? It's easy. Open the app on your mobile device or desktop, click on the Browse channel, then click on the podcast section. You can also stream on your smart speaker. Now, it's that much easier for you to stay up to date on all the latest and greatest in all things sports, thanks to Spotify.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do every weekday over the airwaves of ESPN Radio, 250 plus markets across the United States of America, from New York to LA and everything in between, plus Sirius XM Channel 80. The number to call up as always is 888-729-3776. It's 888-SAY-ESPN. It's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. My brackets are busted. My brackets are busted. I apologize. I stand here as your humble servant over the airwaves of ESPN Radio, apologizing to the nation. Because, damn it, I didn't know what I was talking about. Now, obviously, I was guessing. I certainly never pretended that I watched 68 different teams in college basketball. But I thought with all the noise they were making about DeAndre Ayton at Arizona, that they had a shot to go to the Final Four. I thought that with Tom Izzo in Michigan State and a 29-4 record throughout the regular season, I thought I knew what I was talking about when it came to them. First weekend's away. First weekend's over for the NCAA tournament. They ain't even around. Arizona gets stomped by Buffalo, looking like a cheap bag of bricks, giving up along the way, and then have the audacity, the unmitigated gall to have two of their premier players announce to the world, we coming out in the NBA draft. Like that's something to be proud of after a performance like that. It couldn't even wait till you passed gas and had a good night's sleep before you let the nation know you were going pro. You announced immediately after the game you were going pro. But then this happened. It happened yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. It happened in the Midwest region. It happened in the city of Detroit, Michigan. It happened to Michigan State against the Syracuse Orangemen, with my man DC Derek Coleman in attendance rooting on his old Syracuse Orangemen. It hurts me to say what I'm about to say, because I love this man. And I think that Tom Izzo is a great, great coach. I truly do. I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. I really do. Ladies and gentlemen, this loss was on him. This loss by Michigan State just yesterday to Syracuse is on Tom Izzo. You got this kid, Nick Ward, and you got Jaren Jackson Jr. Ladies and gentlemen, these dudes helped Michigan State grab 29 offensive rebounds. I'm going to repeat that. 29 offensive rebounds. 29! How in God's name do you have 29 offensive rebounds? You're completely dominating the board. This kid Langford can't buy a basket to save his life when it counted most. Not a three, not a two, not a layup, not a jumper, nothing. And you got Nick Ward and Jaren Jackson Jr. sitting on the bench for all but 16 and 15 minutes respectively for this game. How the hell does that happen? You launched 37 threes. That ain't your game if you're Michigan State. You attacked the interior. I picked them to win a national championship because I knew they would dominate on the boards. I knew they would be physical. I knew those boys would be, what they talk about, the cornbread. Them cornbread, call it what you want. Collard greens and cornbread and all of that other stuff. I ain't trying to sound like Cat Williams, but you know what I'm saying. These some big boys. You're supposed to crash the board. You're supposed to dominate. You're supposed to get second and third chance opportunities. And you're supposed to convert in the interior. And somehow, some way, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. Because along the way, they've got to handle their business. And so you have what you have. Syracuse 55, Michigan State 53. Syracuse advances on. Michigan State goes home. I mean, when you look at it, there's simply no excuse for this whatsoever. Langford, by the way, shot 1 for 12 for the game and 1 for 7 from three-point range. 1 for 12. Just a no-show. Bridges wasn't much better, shot 4 of 18. Winston wasn't much better, shot 4 of 12. This kid Bridges is an NBA dude. He's destined for the NBA. Remember that? Miles Bridges? And in this particular game, he had nothing for you. So that was disappointing. The shocker of the afternoon was what happened to North Carolina, what Texas A&M did to those boys. I mean, just destroyed them. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, that was a butt whipping. I'm here to tell you that right now. Let's just call it what it is, please. Let's stop playing games. Let's call it what it is. That was a butt whipping right there. There's no other way around this. 86-65 was the final score. And I mean, they coasted to victory in this game. North Carolina had nothing for them. I mean, when you look at Texas A&M, these Aggies, they were all over the place. This kid Williams had 13 rebounds. Davis had 3 blocks. Williams had 2 blocks. They had 8 blocks on the afternoon. Carolina shot 19% from three-point range, 6 of 31, 33% for the game, 26 of 38. Texas A&M hit over 50% of the shots, 51.7 to be exact. And 10 of 24 from threes. They did what they wanted, and Carolina couldn't do anything in the post. Everything was getting thrown to the parking lot. Don't come in here with that weak nonsense. That's what they were telling North Carolina. And by the way, if you're Roy Williams, this was a down year coming off your national championship, you got to go out there and recruit. You got to compete with Coach K and Duke, because right now I'm here to tell y'all, ladies and gentlemen, they look like the favorites. When you look at Gary Trent Jr., when you could look at this kid Bagley, who's going to be a top 3 pick, when you look at the rest of Duke's crew, it can't be ignored. This is what they bring to the table. And right now, I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I'm damn near on the verge of conceding that this is Duke's to lose, man. There's no way around this. I can't hide from it. It's just the truth. It's just the truth. Duke's something else, man. Purdue's still around. Nevada comes back from a 22-point deficit, beat Cincinnati. Clemson romped Charles Barkley's Auburn Tigers. UMBC, after their upset of Virginia, comes back down to earth and loses to Kansas State, rather. Xavier, the number 1 seed, gets shocked by Florida State. And West Virginia's handling their business. They beat Marshall by 23. We can slice it any way we want to, though. But I'm here to tell you something right now. Keep your eyes on Duke. They just look great. There's no way around it. I wish I could give you something different. I wish I could tell you something different about Duke, but they just have it, man. They have perimeter shooting. They have size. They have rebounding. What are you going to say about it? Their big man, Bagley, shoots 38% from three-point range. So does Grayson Allen. Gary Trent Jr. is at 41%. Wendell Carter is at 44%. I'm just looking at Duke right now. They've got guard play, they've got perimeter shooting, they've got ball handling skills. They make their free throws. Other than Bagley, they make their free throws. That's what I'm seeing. That's just what I'm seeing. Seth Greenberg, college basketball analyst extraordinaire, will be on with us in hour number 2 to discuss this bracket madness. And, of course, I'll continue talking about this as well. Plus, I need to get into the Jets and moving up from the 6th to the 3rd spot in this upcoming NFL draft. That's a big-time move by the Jets, regardless of what people are trying to say. But also, what does that mean for the Giants, who's got the number 2 overall pick? We'll discuss that and more. Plus, LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers will be without their coach, Tyronn Lue, at least for a little bit. I'll talk about that and more in just a minute. You're listening live to Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Hey there, I'm a glue stick, so I have one job. I glue kid stuff. So sorry for being jealous of Geico, who does a ton more, like give you 24/7 access to thousands of licensed agents. And Geico has been around for over 75 years and has a 97% customer satisfaction rating. While I've just got mediocre adhesive skills, Geico also has an award-winning mobile app. Uh-oh, arts and crafts time. No eating the glue stick, Miss Lydia.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more. You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
ESPN Radio, presented by Progressive Insurance. Drivers who switch to Progressive can save an average of $620. 888-729-3776. That's the number to call into the Stephen A. Smith Show. That's 888-SAY-ESPN. Before I get to the calls, news came down that Tyronn Lue, head coach for the Cleveland Cavaliers of the NBA, is going to take a mini leave of absence, per se. He's not going to be coaching for the next few days or so. Going to get himself checked out. Chest pains, he alluded to, and the like. And, he needed a break and needed to take care of himself health-wise. LeBron James spoke about this a little while ago when addressing the media. Here's what he had to say about Tyronn Lue departing from the team for a little bit.
It's like losing one of your best players, obviously. A guy that's the, pretty much, the captain of our ship and has run the thing for the last 3 years. But, everyone has to step up. And we have coaches in place that's ready for that challenge. And we have to do our job as players as well. But, like I said, his health is most important. And I look forward to when he comes back.
LeBron is right in terms of them having a coaching staff that's capable of handling, Tyronn Lue's departure. Remember that Larry Drew was a head coach in the NBA. He coached 3 years in Atlanta, a year in Milwaukee, even though that last time in Milwaukee, that 1 year stint was not impressive. Phil Handy and a bunch of other guys know what they're doing. So in that regard, they should be in good hands. Nobody's going to question that. The other side to this, however, is the health of Tyronn Lue, and that's the most important side. It's not a secret in the NBA circles that he's been struggling health-wise, chest pains, things of that nature. A lot of times when people felt that there was too much acrimony, too much dysfunction reeking through the franchise, when people questioned why wasn't he stepping up more and being a bit more assertive, he was an individual that we would learn had those health issues, and sometimes that was just a difficult thing for him to deal with. The more he had to deal with that, the more stress would elevate, and obviously that would compromise his health to some degree. So our prayers are with him. The entire NBA community wishes him nothing but the best. He's a really good guy, really smart coach. Obviously, he's a champion. He's accomplished what he's accomplished, and he deserves to be respected for it. But one of the reasons that I said a few months ago that I thought this would be Tyronn Lue's last season is because of his health. I didn't elaborate on it then. I'm not going to elaborate on it now. It's none of my business. It's his to tell. As LeBron James articulated a few days ago when he was speaking to the media about it, when Tyronn Lue couldn't come out in the second half to coach the team. Everyone knows that he's had some health issues, but it's for him to talk about. Not me, not you, not anybody else. But I'm glad that he's getting himself the help that he needs, and I sincerely hope that everything works out very, very well for him, and he has a long and prosperous life ahead of him. Anybody that knows Tyronn Lue, I'm sure, wishes the same. 888-729-3776. That's 888-SAY-ESPN. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Chuck in Michigan. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, Chuck.
Thank you, Mr. Stephen A. Smith, for taking my call. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I wanted to talk to you, Izzo. That was one of the worst coaching losses I've seen in a long time. He's got at least 2 NBA players on the roster, along with guys you might be able to sign as free agents or second-rounders, and he completely mismanaged them. Miles Bridges, as a small ball 4, nobody's stopping that in today's basketball. And he played big man. He had Ben Carter, bless his soul, for coming back from an injury. But Ben Carter's out there instead of Jaren Jackson or Nick Ward. I don't know. It just felt inexplicable, and I've never seen coaches make moves where they misutilize the roster as badly as he did last night.
Ted, last night was yesterday afternoon was not Tom Izzo's finest moment. I'm a fan of Tom Izzo. He's won 574 career games. He's been to about 7 Final Fours. He's won a national championship. We all know the goods that he's delivered to the table since he's been coach at Michigan State since the 1995-96 season. But he came up short yesterday. There is no excuse for Nick Ward and Jaren Jackson Jr. to play just 16 and 15 minutes respectively. Not against this Syracuse team. Not when Langford is shooting so awfully and Miles Bridges is clearly struggling with his perimeter shot. You dominated the board. You had 29 offensive rebounds. What the hell are you doing taking 37 3-pointers for when you could attack Syracuse in the interior all night long? Why wouldn't you do that? Made no sense. It was a bad coaching night for Tom Izzo. Plain and simple. I have nothing to add to that, Chuck. Thank you. Let's go to Robert in Newark. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Robert?
What's up, Stephen A? Big fan, my brother.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Quick, Duke does look great, man. And it shows that size in the tournament does make a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make this quick. Prayers go out to Tyronn Lue and his family. Yep. We know NBA coaches is one of the most stressful jobs out there in professional sports. And secondly, the Giants, I wanted to ask you this question. The Giants, with their number 2 overall pick, who do you think they should take versus who they really need?
I think they have 2 big needs more so than anything else. Quentin Nelson out of Notre Dame as your guard on the offensive line. Because as Teddy Bruschi so adroitly pointed out when he showed up on my show First Take, which airs every weekday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, he broke down how in this day and age, the guard is in an isolated spot and you have to have a guard that's capable of pass blocking and run blocking for you. And this kid Nelson, he's seen enough film on him out of Notre Dame. This kid is special. But I think the biggest need is some help for Eli. Because Eli's going to be there for the next 3 years. So if you want immediacy to alleviate the damage that was done with the poorest season you had last year, I say you take Saquon Barkley out of Penn State with the number 2 overall pick. That is what I believe that the New York Giants should do. Certainly they need a successor to Eli Manning. I'm not trying to deny that. But Eli Manning is somebody they appear to be intent on holding on to for the next 2 to 3 years. So if that's the case, all right, then you need somebody that can provide an immediate impact. And I think Barkley is that guy. You also have to buff up your offensive line. If I am the New York Giants and I'm Gettleman, despite my struggles on the defensive side of the ball, here's what I'm doing. I'm going to draft Saquon Barkley, number 2 overall, and I'm going to prioritize the rest of my picks on buffering my offensive line. Because if I pass protect for Eli and I help improve the running game, I also somewhat take the ball out of Eli Manning's hands, which will contribute to his longevity. He'll have a lengthier career rather than one that's going to end prematurely or sooner, and we can go from there. That's what I would do. I would grab Barkley and then prioritize offensive line help.
Most definitely. One last thing, Steve.
No. I gotta run, bro. I gotta hurry up. Go ahead.
She wants me to say hello to the Love Doctor, and she suggests that more women listen to that segment.
Well, you tell the wife I said, what's up? What's the wife's name?
Definitely.
What's the wife's name?
Is Donna.
Don't you dare hesitate when I ask you that question again. Have you lost your mind? You're about to get yourself in trouble. That should come off the tongue. It took you a second to tell me your wife's name, like you almost didn't know her name.
Donna, brother.
All right. Have a good day, Robin. I mean, you slipping. I mean, did you see how much time it took him to tell me his name was Donna? Almost like he forgot her name. Come on now. Be careful. Be careful. Stephen A., the Love Doctor. Trying to look out for you. Watch your back. I'm here for you. I'm here for you. By the way, here's another way that I'm here for you. I know there are several of you out there who had a bad night. You know why I know this? Because I used to be just like you. I didn't get great sleep either. And it was because of my snoring. That was before I tried the revolutionary Zeepa device, by the way. Zeepa's a game changer, y'all. If you snore, you're not sleeping. And if you're not sleeping, you're not succeeding. Because if you want success, you must be at your best. Zeep is the solution that helps you get that great sleep so you feel your best in the morning. And everyone who sleeps next to you gets the rest they need to feel great in the morning, too. Zeep is the only snoring solution of its kind. If you snore, you need to get a Zeeper. I want you to go to Zeeper. That's ZYPPAH.com. Easy to remember because Zeeper is happy Z spelled backwards. Go to Zeeper.com right now. Get a Zeeper and tell everybody you know to get a Zeeper. Remember, it's ZYPPAH. That's ZYPPAH.com. Get the great sleep you need and the great sleep you deserve from Zeeper. More to Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio in a minute.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it! 34 minutes past hour number 1 back here in the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. Going to get to your phone calls at 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Got to transition, though, to the big deal going on in the NFL this week. And the New York Jets swapped their 6th pick overall with the Indianapolis Colts, moving up 3 spots in this upcoming NFL draft. Next month, the New York Jets essentially, supposedly, are after a quarterback. Now they gave away the 6th pick along with 3 additional picks in the 2nd round this year, and then again in 2019, the 6th, the 37th, the 49th overall picks in 2018. And a 2019 second round pick as well. That's what the Jets gave up just to move up 3 spots. Now, some people sit up there and say, okay, what are they doing here? You've got some people that believe it's a bad move. I don't believe it's a bad move. Only if they know exactly who they want. And that's why they're doing this. I don't want to hear that there's really no difference to us between Josh Allen out of Wyoming and Sam Darnold out of USC and Josh Rosen out of UCLA and Baker Mayfield, the reigning Heisman Trophy Award winner out of Oklahoma. I don't want to hear that there's no difference, but you moved up 3 damn spots. I don't want to hear that. What I want to hear is that we talk, and I understand we're not going to hear it until the draft. Don't play your hand, Mike McCagnon. I get all of that. But I'm just saying that better be their thinking. If you don't see a difference between one of the 4 quarterbacks, what the hell you trade up for? Why you give up 3 additional picks for? You didn't need to do that. But if you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that there is a preference and that preference you could eventually be compromised of getting if you were at 6 instead of 3, then I have no problem with the Jets making this move because it's an aberration. Jets usually don't take chances. They usually don't roll the dice and wheel and deal and make stuff happen. So Mike McCagnon's willingness to do this, I like this. If you know exactly who you want and that's what you're targeting. I approve of that message. But that had better damn well be the reason. And ladies and gentlemen, I got to admit to you, I'm stuck. Because on one hand, I hear all the things about Josh Allen's upside and Sam Darnold's mechanics and Josh Rosen is a downside because he's temperamental and all of this other stuff. I don't know who's legitimately the best quarterback in this draft. I didn't know a thing about Carson Wentz or Jared Goff. I mean, do you really think that we're sitting here watching Carson Wentz at North Dakota State? We didn't know anything about him. Kudos to the Eagles for grabbing him. Shame on the Browns for passing on him. And Deshaun Watson. But I'm just saying, as I look at this right now, and I look at a team that can wheel and deal like the Buffalo Bills with what they have available to them. Plus they got A.J. McCarron from Cincinnati. If you're the New York Jets, the one thing you haven't had is a franchise quarterback. I know Mark Sanchez was here. I know Pennington was here. I know all these, but the bottom line is this. The Jets haven't had a reliable quarterback to hand this franchise to since Richard Todd. I don't care what anybody says. And he could only get you to the AFC title game. Couldn't get you over the hump. Mark Sanchez got you to 2 AFC title games. 1 good enough. All I'm saying to you is New York Jets, if there's a quarterback that you believe in, that you think is that dude, you do everything you can to get him. Because that's the one thing the Jets have been lacking. And that's the one thing we got to get over. We got to find a way for this franchise to get a quarterback. Now, by being number 3, first question, does that apply any additional pressure to the New York Giants? They play in the same city. They play in the same stadium. They represent the same city. Does it apply any pressure to the New York Giants? For me, not really. Others may disagree. For me, not really. Giants in the NFC, Jets in the AFC. Giants had the pick before the Jets. So what? They were 4 picks before the Jets earlier. Now they're 1 pick. So what? And the Giants have a multitude of need like the Jets, except the Giants have Eli Manning. So the Giants, the Jets sort of need help significantly more than the New York Giants. Eli Manning was not good last year. I get that. But when you don't have a running game in the offensive line and you're immobile, what the hell do you expect? Cut the man some slack. Get him a running game, buffer the offensive line a little bit, then come talk to me. That's how I look at Eli Manning. I really do. I don't think it applies any additional pressure to the New York Giants. Gettleman knows what he's doing. We can't deny that. They can get a running back. They can buffer their offensive line. They still don't lose. I say get Saquon Barkley, though. Get the brother with sizzle. It is about business, and box office never hurts. Let's be clear about that. It never hurts. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. We'll talk about the Jets and their moves. Do you approve? If you do, why? If you don't, why not? What effect does this have on the Giants? Number 2. And number 3, how will this alter the landscape of the top order of the NFL draft? All of those things are things worthy of thinking about and talking about, and we will in just a moment. You're listening live to Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
It's a normal day. You're rushing out the door to get to work on time when suddenly, there it is, the dreaded service light. So what is it this time? Tire pressure, low coolant, time for an oil change? When it comes to service lights, head to Jiffy Lube. We've got you covered. Drive in today and make the switch to Pennzoil. Ask for Pennzoil Synthetics, getting you back on the road in a jiffy. Jiffy Lube, leave worry behind.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it! Get the feeling of being rewarded with gold status at Shell with the Fuel Rewards program. Download the Fuel Rewards app. Join and start saving 5 cents a gallon today. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Seth Greenberg, college basketball analyst extraordinaire, will holler at us about what's been going on in this NCAA tournament. Plus, I'll get into some NBA basketball talk in hour number 2. Golden State Warriors now. Kevin Durant is down. So Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson are out. I'm getting to the point where I almost don't believe they injured. I mean, they chased 73 wins a couple of years ago. They learned from their mistakes then. I mean, if they think they're good enough and they could go on to Houston in a Game 7 and win, what does it matter? I'm not accusing anybody of faking it. I'm just saying, damn, everybody going down right now. I'm wondering, is Draymond next? I'm just wondering. Lewis in Indiana, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me. Lewis, are you there? Go ahead, man. You're live on the air. What's up? Talk to me.
I kind of got a bone to pick with Bill Belichick. Basically,
join the crowd.
Going into the Super Bowl, everybody said the only way the Eagles were going to win it is if Doug Peterson outcoached Bill Belichick, which he did because Bill Belichick didn't coach.
Okay.
And it seems like everybody's afraid to say that he threw the game, but I honestly believe he did. With 2:03 left on the clock in the fourth quarter, he called a timeout. Now, why wouldn't you wait till the 2-minute warning?
Well,
he set them up to lose.
Hold on, wait. I'm not going to question that. This is a guy that wouldn't call a timeout when they were in the Super Bowl against Seattle. He just let the play ride, and Malcolm Butler pulled off the heist of Super Bowl history with that interception off of a Russell Wilson pass. And we would question Bill Belichick's football decisions then until that happened. So I can't go that far. What I can tell you is a better argument for that point would be made by pointing to Malcolm Butler and the fact that this guy plays 97.8% of the snaps throughout the season, 100% of your snaps in the postseason against Tennessee, and then after that against Jacksonville, and yet and still you bench this man for all but one defensive snap in the Super Bowl. That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. That would be a strong argument for your point.
Yep. And another thing, I hear you and Max Kellerman always talking about how Aaron Rodgers is that bad man he is compared to Tom Brady. All I see is Aaron Rodgers doesn't make the players around him play like Tom Brady makes his players play around
Whatever.
him.
Have a nice day. Goodbye. Let's go to Brendan in New Jersey. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
What's going on, Stephen A., man?
Talk to me, man.
Yeah, I just want to say, man, my wife is a big fan of yours. She don't know nothing about sports, but she will listen to you.
Thank you.
I have a question about my boys, Detroit Lions, man. I know we made a couple moves. We got rid of Eric Ebron, but we should have picked up Jimmy Graham, and I think we should have went for Sherman a lot more than we did.
Well, maybe so, but I'm going to trust that Matt Patricia's your new head coach. So let's see what goes on there. Y'all were ranked 27th total defense. All right. 27th against the pass as well. You got to improve your secondary. So you might make the point that you should have went back after Richard Sherman. But the flip side to all of that is that if you didn't do it, okay, why didn't you do it? Because he's coming off of that Achilles injury. And that's what you got to keep in mind. I mean, I'm looking at Darius Slay, Nevin Lawson, Glover Quinn. I don't know. I mean, listen, Lawson's an unrestricted free agent. So is Wilson. Listen, they got to improve their defense overall, mainly against the pass. The problem with the Detroit Lions is not their offense. The problem with them is their defense. And if you're going to get a cornerback, it needs to be somebody you have no doubt will be ready to go. They can't possibly feel that way about Richard Sherman at this particular juncture.
We're playoff bound?
I'm not sure about that. Matter of fact, my answer would be no. Because I don't think you're going to be better than Minnesota, and I don't think you're going to be better than Green Bay. So if you're not going to be better than Minnesota, you ain't going to be better than Green Bay, then you got to hope that, from a wild card spot, you're the first or second wild card.
Right.
Because, and that three playoff teams are coming out of the NFC North. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. So I believe you're on the outside looking in unless your defense really, really becomes stout. But I appreciate the call. Thank you so much. Let's go to Suge in Michigan. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
How you doing, Stephen A., my brother?
Talk to me.
I'm glad you put your man Izzo on blast. I'm really glad. I wanted to see if you was going to do that this morning, but because he had the home game, basically, and threw that game away.
You talking about Izzo?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. There's no denying it. I thought it was his fault they lost the game.
Okay, my second point. My Michigan boys got to go against A&M. Man, them some big boys down there, man. I want to know, do we try to bang with them, or do we try to go to stay away and run and gun and shoot the three?
I'm not going to lie to you, man. Watching Texas A&M against North Carolina yesterday, I got to tell you, bro, you got to push the ball up the floor and hit perimeter shots to beat these dudes. I don't like the thought of anybody thinking that they could beat Texas A&M by attacking the interior at all. That's not how I see this. These are monsters up there. These are monsters. These brothers can flat out ball. And they were absolutely positively dominant. Absolutely positively dominant against North Carolina yesterday. I mean, they took everything. Williams and the crew, they took everything. They took everything away from North Carolina. And the way I'm looking at it right now, these brothers, Hogg and Davis and Williams have 5 blocks themselves. They ain't letting anything inside, man. That's what I see. All right?
Yes, sir.
Take it easy. Have a good day. Ryan in New Jersey, you're live with Stephen A. Real quick, Ryan, go ahead.
I got no problems with the Jets moving up because they did some good stuff in the draft. They got a young team. They're going to go out. They want to get their young quarterback. They need it. I think it's a good move for them. But I think
Hold on. You're not being clear. You think what's a good move for them? Because I understand the move up, but to me, it's only a good move if you have a specific target and that's what you're going after. If you just moving up and you're saying it doesn't matter to us if we get any of these 4 guys, then what the hell you moved up for when the likelihood is that one of them would have dropped to 6?
Well, I don't think if you have 2 guys in mind, I think it's a good move because I don't think they're both going to drop. You know, you're going to see quarterbacks go in the top 3, 4 picks. So if they have a 1A and a 1B, I like the move because they're probably going to get that guy.
Okay.
But the thing about their deal that I saw from the Giants' perspective is it's all the more reason for the Giants to trade back because you have Eli Manning. So let's assume Eli Manning has something left. You drop back, you're going to get at least 3 players this year who could probably contribut. And if Eli Manning has nothing left,
yeah, we're running out of time.
3 guys.
We're running out of
3 guys.
Listen, here's the bottom line. The Giants don't need a quarterback as much as they need an offensive lineman and a running back. That's what this all comes down to. There's no way around it. Of course, you'd like a successor to Eli Manning. That would be ideal. But the priority is protection on that offensive line and a running back with pass-catching ability. Hour number 2 up next.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
To all you sports fans, did you know you can stream this podcast on Spotify right now? It's easy. Open the app on your mobile device or desktop, click on the Browse channel, then click on the podcast section. You can also stream on your smart speaker. Now, it's that much easier for you to stay up to date on all the latest and greatest in all things sports, thanks to Spotify.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Welcome to hour number 2 of the Stephen A. Smith Show right here on ESPN Radio, coming at you as I love to do every weekday. In over 250 plus markets across the United States of America, from New York to LA and everything in between. Check your local listings. Number to call up as always is 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. That's Stephen A. 250 plus markets plus Sirius XM. Channel 80. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive's Home Insurance. Get your quote at Progressive.com today. A couple of other things I want to get into. I was asked a question this morning. Right now, as we speak, if the Houston Rockets were to win the West, would you credit the Houston Rockets and their greatness, their ascension? Or would you blame injuries on the part of the Golden State Warriors? And I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, unequivocally, I would blame injuries. And I ain't apologizing. That's right, I said it. James Harden is my league MVP. I'm not denying it to him this year. He was number 2 last year. And it was a nip and tuck race until Russell Westbrook went ballistic the last couple of weeks of the season. That ain't working this time. James Harden is the league MVP. If James Harden doesn't win the league MVP this year, somebody should be arrested. This brother it's like that. It's like that. And as far as I'm concerned, Chris Paul is the league MVP candidate. He ain't top 3, but he's the league MVP candidate. His leadership, his floor generalship, how good they look with him on the court. James Harden and Chris Paul have been nothing short of sensational. And if you want to go ahead and give Mike D'Antoni head coach of the year, I ain't mad at you. I appreciate the job Nate McMillan has done in Indiana. I appreciate the job that Dwayne Casey has done in Toronto. But if y'all want to give the coach of the year award to Mike D'Antoni, I can't fault you for that. The man has done a phenomenal job. You want to give Daryl Morey the executive of the year for acquiring Chris Paul? I ain't got a problem with that either. Give them all the awards you want. But don't tell me it's about that. Why they went in the West when Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry are out. I ain't trying to hear that. I got to see it to believe it. And be very, very clear. Even though I love my peeps in Oaktown and I love Oakland. All right? I love H-Town. Nothing would please me more than to fly to Houston for the finals rather than Oakland, California. I would love it. Wouldn't bother me in the slightest. But let me tell you something. To just sit up there and ordain Houston or crown them as champions in the West, acting like the Golden State Warriors, ain't injured, ain't hobbled, ain't hurt. Y'all smoking something. I mean, Kevin Durant's top 2, top 3 on the planet. On the planet Earth as a basketball player. Do you understand that? That's how great he is. Steph Curry. Has there ever been a greater shooter in the history of basketball? Left wing, right wing, left corner, right corner, top of the key, mid-range, long range. It doesn't matter. Set shot, off balance, off the dribble. It doesn't matter. Steph Curry is the greatest shooter I have ever seen in my life. Ever. Ever. He's out with the ankle. And Klay Thompson is one of the top 5 shooters. One of the top 5 set shooters, pure shooters we've ever seen. What am I missing? Has Houston gone against them like that? Y'all just gonna think, you just think that Houston just got them, huh? Ain't no way on earth Golden State could beat Houston, huh? Really? Better ask somebody. I like Trevor Ariza, and I really like Eric Gordon, and I love to pick up on my man Joe Johnson. And I like Tucker and all of these boys. Can I trust them come postseason time? Am I sure? No, I'm not. And it's just that simple. You can't walk into a season looking at a team like the Golden State Warriors, acting like, excuse me, you know, Houston's they're that team. James Harden, an isolationist, dude, nobody can stop him. But how you going to do that against Golden State all night long? You think it's going to be that easy? I'm not so sure. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. That's one item that I'm looking at. The other item I wanted to get into was an NFL item. And I'll get back to the NBA because of the Oklahoma City Thunder and Russell Westbrook with his triple-double self and all of this other, and Portland and winning 13 straight, Damian Lillard being the ultimate closer. I mean, I don't know if there's a player in this league we should fear more with the ball in their hands in the waning moments than Damian Lillard. It's just like that. Special. And Portland's the number 3 seed. How far can Portland go? All of those are very, very interesting. Wish we were talking this way about the Knicks. Can't do it. Wish we were talking this way about the Lakers. Can't do it. Clippers lost last night. What do you want me to say about them? They're in the 10th spot. They're 5 games over 500. Doc Rivers has done a good job considering the circumstances, but losing CP3 was on his watch. There's no other way to look at it. One other item that I want to touch on was Vontaze Burfict, linebacker for the Cincinnati Bengals, due to serve a 4-game suspension because of PED use. Had the pleasure of meeting his brother NBA All-Star Weekend. He was there in L.A. And we had a nice long conversation. He talks about how there's a multitude of sides to every story. And he and I just spoke a few minutes ago. And one of the points that he was making, I find to be very, very valid. See, when you are conducting yourself like a hooligan on a football field, I got a problem with you. When you don't follow rules and regulations, I got a problem with you. You using weed for recreational purposes, costing yourself 6 figures. I got problems with you. PED use in the NFL, entirely different. Because if you're Vontaze Burfict, for example, and you get hit by Juju Smith-Schuster for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it's not that medication that you take, but a couple of weeks later when you're feeling nauseous or you're feeling in pain or whatever the case may be, and these doctors give you a multitude of medications to take. Sometimes you follow it, sometimes you don't. What are you supposed to do? See, it gets very, very complicated because what they're saying is you yourself have to know what you're putting in your body. Well, actually, I'm not sure how true that is. Because if a doctor prescribes you something, you might look up the ingredients. But particularly if it's a team doctor, you might trust that they know. It's not that you can completely be absolved of culpability if you're a player, but for all of it to be on you and you're not a damn doctor, I don't know about that. So what I'm saying is in this particular instance, even though he's got to serve his penance, this ain't Vontaze Burfict with the shot to the head of Antonio Brown. This ain't Vontaze Burfict who's stomping on Big Ben Roethlisberger. This is a football player that took some medication. From who knows? But you take some medication prescribed to you by doctors to get over an illness or a pain, a pain in your shoulder or whatever the case may be. What do you know? I'm not saying that's what he said. I'm just speaking hypothetically in terms of what goes into these decisions. It's something worth considering. It certainly shouldn't be ignored. 888, say ESPN's number call. It's 888-729-3776. Talking NCAA basketball, talking NFL football, talking NBA basketball, and then some in a minute. You're listening live to Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Attention shoppers, clean up on aisle 14. Clean up on aisle 14. Someone dropped the jar of pickles. Kosher pickles.
Beatboxing at a big box store. Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
A red minivan has the lights on in the parking lot.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Geico.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
17 minutes past hour number 2 back here on the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. Number to call up as always is 888-729-3776. It's 888-SAY-ESPN. To my producers, whatever you need me to have up on the board, I don't have it up there, just so you know. Lots of stuff to get into. And listen, here's the deal. I have to look at what's transpiring through these playoffs. And I got to commend the Houston Rockets. I got to commend the NBA overall. It's a very interesting season. Cleveland has fallen off. Toronto has elevated. Boston has elevated. Milwaukee has elevated. Philadelphia has elevated. Miami is there. Washington, it remains to be seen when John Wall will come back. It's getting very interesting. In the case of the West, it's Houston, it's Golden State, but OKC and Portland can't be ignored. Can't be ignored. That much we can say about them. NBA season has gotten very compelling. And the Golden State Warriors are doing their part because these injuries that they have has all of us questioning. Can they do this? Can they hold on to this? And we all hear that if they lose the title this year, it's going to be changes. If they win, not so much. But if they lose the title, it's going to be changes. And I'm here to tell you something right now. If I'm Klay Thompson, next year is my last year in Golden State. I want out after this. If I'm Klay Thompson, I want out. I want to be a free agent in 2019. I want to have the reins handed to me. That's what I want to do. That's exactly what I want to do. I don't want to be the third wheel. That's not what I aspire for. I think better of myself. I hope for better for myself. Because guess what? If I'm the Los Angeles Lakers, he's number 2 on my list. I don't give a damn who's won. LeBron, KD, Kahwi, it don't matter. Number 2 on my list is Klay Thompson. If I'm the Los Angeles Lakers, that's who I want in the purple and gold. I want Klay Thompson here. Klay Thompson With Alonzo Ball, who will gladly give him his shots because he don't want to take too many. Klay Thompson with a Brandon Ingram. Klay Thompson with a Kyle Kuzma. And you get another star up in there? Please. That's what I'm doing. Sadly, if you're a New York Knicks fan, notice that no conversations involving marquee players involves the Knicks franchise. Nobody's even thinking about coming to New York for the Knicks. It's really a travesty. It just is. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Let's go to James in Staten Island. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey, what's going on, Augusty? How you doing?
I'm all right. Go ahead, bro.
Hey, good question. I know you were just talking about the NBA playoffs. How you feel about the Thunder now, man? They got that bad man. He's on a mission right now. I said it, Mr. Westbrook.
I got a problem with their bench. I got a problem with their bench. I have the utmost faith in their starters. But when they go to the bench, they're a different team. They don't have much. And that's my concern.
But my last question, though, on that topic, though, is that do you think, though, they can challenge Houston in a 7-game series? If they can win the first two?
I think they could challenge. Well, first of all, it's not about if you win the first two. That's a silly question. Because if you win the first two, you can challenge anybody. I mean, the first two is important. All I'm saying is that at the end of the day, what it comes down to is, do they have the collection of talent to legitimately compete with the Houston Rockets for supremacy within the Western Conference? I would tell you yes. But it's just that they got to bring their A game. They can't bring anything less to beat Houston or Golden State. They just can't do it.
All right.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate the call. Thank you. Let's go to Mike in Denver. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, Mike. What's up?
Hey, what's going on, man? Couple quick questions.
Yep.
NCAA, man. You know, nowadays, Stephen A., them small schools, man, they just getting a lot of brothers that can play. And, you know, they got a chip on their shoulders just trying to show the world when they get a chance what they can do. You know, and that's what some of them upsets come from. But that Texas A&M, man, them brothers just too long and they jump too high.
Monsters for North Carolina. North Carolina got destroyed. They wasn't even in these brothers' league. They came at these cats, and there was nothing North Carolina could do about it. Absolutely nothing.
Ain't no joke, man. He was serving notice, man. Don't come in here the wrong way because you're gonna find it off the court.
I would tell you this. If Texas A&M can hit perimeter shots, they can win the national title.
Yeah, watch out for them. Yeah.
They can win it. You know what? Because let me tell you, everybody been talking about this Bagley, the third from Duke. You know what? I haven't been sold on them. I've seen some great big men in basketball, the Ralph Sampson, the Akeem Olajuwons, the Patrick Ewings of the world, Shaquille O'Neal, even to a lesser degree, Stanley Roberts, who has no business being mentioned in the same breath as those aforementioned names. But I'm just saying, guys like that, I don't see this guy Bagley on that level. And I got to tell you, I hope he does end up going up against Texas A&M because I want to see what he does against those boys. That'll tell us something about this kid.
Yeah, and then the other thing to touch on real quick, the Jets with the move they made, yeah, they got to have somebody in mind to give all them picks up to move up. Like you said, you know, don't just do that because if we don't get this person, we can get that person.
That's right.
That's the take I got on. That
right.
one too. And then my last talk is Tyronn Lue, man. I hope everything goes well with him, man. And you know, whenever you get like that, man, you got to put all that stuff aside, man, because you know you got life ahead, and I know he got a family, and that was good when LeBron spoke on him, how he spoke on it. And then, like I say, you do an excellent job with your reporting, man. You mentioned that he won't be there next year, but you never let him know why, and I appreciate you for that, man. And have a good day.
Well, that's his personal business, man. I wasn't gonna put that out there. You know, I certainly wasn't going to do that to him. I appreciate the call, Mike. Thank you so much. 888-729-3776. 888-SAY-ESPN. By the way, congratulations to Penny Hardaway. Penny Hardaway, the former star at the University of Memphis, who was the number 3 overall pick in the draft many years ago, starred with the Orlando Magic. Once Shaquille O'Neal was there with him for a little bit. That same Penny Hardaway, 46 years of age, former 3rd overall pick in the 1993 draft, played in the NBA for 15 years from 93 to 2008. He will be announced tomorrow as the new head coach of the Memphis Tigers. I think it's a great move, and I want to emphasize this. Tubby Smith did not deserve to be fired. 19-13, then the following year, 21-13. He didn't deserve to be fired because he can't coach. He didn't deserve to be fired because he did anything wrong. Here's why he had to go. They need to recruit local talent, and they need to put people in the seats because they're losing money. And even though he's a great basketball coach, an incredibly accomplished basketball coach who won a national championship in Kentucky, that's the one thing he didn't do, was recruit and generate money from them in that level. Penny Hardaway resolves that issue. Plus, he's had success on a lower level as a high school coach, particularly with the AAU programs. And last but not least, did you hear his lead assistant is going to be one of the greatest basketball minds we have ever witnessed in our lives? That is the great Larry Brown. That's going to be his lead assistant, from what I'm being told. I couldn't be happier for Penny. I couldn't be happier for Larry Brown. Tubby Smith deserves a job somewhere because he can coach his butt off. This is about the money, about revenue. And nobody can generate revenue in Memphis better than Penny Hardaway when it comes to basketball. It's the right move by the university, regardless of how we feel about it. Seth Greenberg, college basketball analyst extraordinaire. He's up next, and I'll ask him about that as well. You're listening live to Stephen A., ESPN Radio. By the way, I know there are several of you out there who had a bad night. You know why I know this, because I used to be just like you, and I didn't get great sleep because of snoring. That was before I tried the revolutionary Zipa device. It's a game changer. If you snore, you're not sleeping. If you're not sleeping, you're not succeeding. Because if you want success, you must be at your best. Zipa is the solution that helps you get that great sleep so you feel your best in the morning. And everyone who sleeps next to you gets the rest they need to feel great in the morning too. Zipa is the only snoring solution of its kind. If you snore, you need to get a Zipa. I want you to go to ZYPPAge.com. That's Zipa.com. Easy to remember because Zipa is Happy Z spelled backwards. Go to Zipa.com right now, get a Zipa, and tell everybody you know to get a Zipa. Remember, it's ZYPPAH. That's ZYPPAH. Zipa.com. Get the great sleep you need and the great sleep you deserve. More of the Stephen A. Smith Show. Seth Greenberg coming up in a minute, right here on ESPN Radio.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it! It's tournament time. No better podcast to listen to than Courtside with Seth Greenberg and Dan Dockish, twice weekly during the tournament to preview and react. Listed on the ESPN app and Apple Podcasts. Great lead-in to segue into my next guest, college basketball analyst extraordinaire, former coach at Virginia Tech. Does an outstanding job for the family. My buddy, the one and only Seth Greenberg, is on the line with yours truly right now. What's going on, Coach? How you doing?
Stephen A., what is going on? Good visiting with you today. It's a hard job keeping Max in line.
Well, there's no hope for him. You just have to learn to give up hope, and I think you'll be just fine. But let me, before I even get into the tournament stuff, Coach, I got to ask you your thoughts about Penny Hardaway being the next head coach of Memphis Tigers. The announcement is expected to come down tomorrow in an official capacity, just days after they let go of Tubby Smith. Your reaction?
Look, Penny's not going to have a hard time coaching. He's got a high basketball IQ. I mean, he's a basketball lifer. One thing about the NBA, you got to understand, those guys understand the game. He's worked at it. He's been a very successful high school coach. He will be brutal to recruit against in the city of Memphis. Now, is he going to go outside of Memphis and beat Kentucky and Kansas and Duke for players? No, he's not. But he will be able to keep guys in Memphis, which is so important, obviously, for the lifeblood. Now, what goes along with that is then you got to keep those guys happy, because not everyone's a Penny Hardaway. So, I mean, there's good and bad with recruiting local players. Will he do a good job? He's going to have to hire the right staff. He's going to have to hire a staff that has a network. He's going to have to hire a staff that understands the business of college basketball.
We've heard former SMU coach, former NBA coach, and Hall of Famer Larry Brown will be a lead assistant. Your thoughts about that?
Yeah, look, there's no better coach in America. You and I, we've talked about this numerous times. He can take his team and beat you. He can take your team and beat you. Larry Brown is a master teacher and coach. Larry Brown walks in a room at age 70, whatever it is.
77.
At 77, and you know what? He's got a charisma and a something that people are attracted to him. That's just the way it is. It's always been that way. And he'll be a great person when it comes to the basketball side of it. But he needs someone to help him with the business side of it. Larry's not always been the best with the business side of it.
Right.
So that's going to be the challenge for Penny, getting his right lieutenant in line. But Memphis is basically officially closed. There's a really good guard in Memphis right now that's IAG Academy. The kid Anthony Simon that is, is talked about maybe going right to the NBA. No, he's going to go right to Memphis now. There's no doubt about it. Tennessee's recruited him. NC State's recruited him. He'll end up at Memphis.
Coach, let me get to the business side of it before we get to this tournament stuff, because it's something we've talked about this with the NCAA. We talk about it with the NCAA tournament and March Madness. Well, let's talk about it in this respect. When we talk about the business side, Penny Hardaway is just the latest. Georgetown brought Patrick Ewing back. Chris Mullin, St. John's brought him back, or he elected to go back. So you see some of these places where individuals who started a particular university are now head coaches at those universities they used to play for. Hasn't always worked out well. As a matter of fact, most of the time it has not. You think that Penny has a better chance than the Patrick Ewings, the Chris Mullins of the world at St. John's, or not?
I really like Patrick Ewing's hire. I think Patrick Ewing is a really good basketball guy. I think he's paid his dues. He's grinded it out as an assistant coach for some of the best coaches in the history of the game.
Yep.
He's surrounded himself with a guy named Louis Orr, who understands the business and can guide him in the direction. So if I had to put it in order, I would say that Patrick first. I'm going to put Penny in front of Chris Mullin right now, because Chris Mullin's more of a CEO than a head coach. He relies on his assistant coaches to do a lot of the day-to-day X and O stuff. So I put Penny ahead of him, and Chris is good in New York, but even in New York, he's not beating Kentucky, he's not beating Duke, and he's not beating Kansas. In Memphis, Penny will be impossible to beat for a player.
Talking to Seth Greenberg right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Let's get to this tournament. The biggest shocker appears to be Virginia losing the UMBC. That's the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, for crying out loud. Coach, you got on me this morning because I said, damn it, I know there's a few teams in here to still some blue bloods here, but some stars. DeAndre Ayton is gone. Izzo in Michigan State, gone. I'm not happy about this kind of stuff, Coach, but you seem to be perfectly fine with it. Why?
I didn't realize you were so chalky, Stephen A. I mean, you want to get to the second weekend and have your chalky, big-time blue bloods, watch all the big shots, stroll out there that we've seen 8,000 times, and that's good. But we still have chalk. We have enough chalk left. I mean, Kentucky's still alive. They're not chalky because of their seeding, but they're chalky because they're a blue blood. We're going to probably get Villanova. They're not the bluest of bloods, but they're a national champion 2 years ago. We're going to get either Kansas or Duke. I mean, Purdue has a chance still. Here's the deal. I think I relate it to NASCAR. In NASCAR, people look to see those cars run around and around. In the end, they want to see, Jeff Gordon win. They want to see, Dale Earnhardt Jr. win. But they also want to see a crash or two. All right? And we got our crash or two in the opening weekend of the tournament. Eventually, the cream rises to the top. But the people that said, and I'm going to have to disagree with my guy, Jay Billis, it's very rare that you can get a one-up on him. When he says, this is no different than any other year. Yes, it is. We've seen a 16 beat a 1. That's different. We've seen the South region, the highest-ranked seed left is a 5. We've seen incredible buzzer beaters. We've seen the bluest of bloods, Michigan State, get knocked off against the team Syracuse that no one thought should be in the tournament. So this year is different. But then again, this year has been different all year. More unranked teams beat top 10 teams this year than in the history of our game.
How did you feel? I mean, you know how much I love me some Tom Izzo, but I put yesterday's loss on him. How do you have Nick Ward and Jaren Jackson Jr. on the bench? They only played 16 and 15 minutes respectively. You had 29 offensive rebounds, but then you decide not to attack the basket, not to crash the board. You get them out of the game. Okay, you're launching 37 three-pointers. Langford was horrific with 1 of 12 shooting. How do you let this happen if you're Tom Izzo? How do you explain that?
And Miles was bad also.
Yes, he was. 4 of 18.
Let's be honest.
4 of 18. Yeah.
I'm shocked because I talked to Tom the morning of the game, and he felt good about his team. He felt good about what he wanted to do against the zone. We didn't get into details. I'm shocked he didn't have multiple guys in the middle of that zone. And when you put someone in the middle, the guy's got to be able to move it and score it. They didn't do that. Early in the game, they had Jaren in there, and Jaren was tentative for some reason. I don't know why. He put Ben Carter in because he's a better passer, but he can't score. I don't know if the weight of the world upon them during the course of the season finally warmed down. I don't think that's an excuse. Tom wouldn't use it as an excuse. That was not his best moment. And no one, I mean, he is, if I have three dear friends in this world, he'd be one of them. There's probably anything I wouldn't ask him to do that he wouldn't do, but that was not his best moment. The Ben Carter minutes shocked me. Not getting a score in the middle of the zone shocked me. Being in gaps as opposed to moving a little, having a little bit more movement in his own offense shocked me a little bit. And Jim Boeheim, he's back to the Sweet 16. They haven't scored over 60 points. They haven't scored over 60 points.
Unbelievable. Coach, before I let you get on out of here, though, I think that based on what wins in college basketball, shooting, guard play, perimeter shooting, free throws, I think Duke could easily be the favorite. But I got to tell you, after watching Texas A&M manhandle North Carolina the way they did yesterday afternoon, they go up against Michigan, who's got 30 wins on the season. This could be a special matchup. But I got to tell you, Texas A&M, they looked like some monsters yesterday, Coach.
You're right. Their front court is ridiculous when DJ Hoagie's stroking it. We saw him in Germany. Jay Will and I saw him in Germany just absolutely carve up West Virginia. They had a bunch of suspensions early in the season. They had some guys behaving badly, to be honest with you, who couldn't pass a certain test probably is the reason, or got DUIs or whatever else reason you get suspended for. And you know what? They were disjointed. The hardest thing to do in coaching is to get your team back. And somehow, some way, in his own mild manner, Billy Kennedy got his team back. They're a terrific defensive team. If they don't turn it over, they're beating Michigan. If they take care of if they commit less than 15 turnovers, they're beating Michigan because that front court, Robert Williams and Tyler Davis rebound every missed shot. Tyler Davis can score on the block. Who's going to make enough jumpers? As long as their guard play holds up, and I'm a big Adlon Gilder fan, it's really going to be on T.J. Starks, the freshman. If he can take care of the ball and not take bad shots, because a bad shot's like a turnover, you're going to see an A&M win that game.
Are you of the mindset, last question to you, the Duke, the Villanovas are still alive, Kansas still alive, we get all that. Do you believe Texas A&M could ultimately win the national title?
I don't think they could beat Duke. If they faced up against Duke, I don't think it was Duke's front court's even better than theirs, and their guard play is better. I don't think they could beat Duke. They've already proven if it's Kentucky and A&M, they've already proven last time they played Kentucky, they absolutely whacked them. Now, Kentucky's better now. I mean, the job John's done with this team, I talk to him all the time, and like in the middle of the season, I mean, he was trying to figure them out. He's
always trying. You fall for that, Coach.
Playing.
John Calipari is always trying to figure them out. This dude could be 38-0, and he'll be right there complaining. That's how I know he's hung out with Larry Brown, because he could be 38-0, and he'll be complaining. We got screwed over. It's not right. We're not ready. You know how Calipari is. Come on, man.
Stephen A. That's the line. Hey, that's the line of the day right there. I know he's been hanging out with Larry Brown.
Exactly.
That's the line of the day.
I know. I had to deal with both of them when they were in Philly together for a year. You know that. Before he went to Memphis. I know this stuff.
That is too funny.
Coach, I got to run, man. I appreciate you as always, buddy. Thanks so much.
Anytime.
We'll talk soon. Absolutely. The great Seth Greenberg right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. 888-729-3776. That's 888-SAY-ESPN. Your calls to close out the show in a minute. You're listening live to Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
It's a normal day. You're rushing out the door to get to work on time when suddenly, there it is, the dreaded service light. So what is it this time? Tire pressure, low coolant, time for an oil change? When it comes to service lights, head to Jiffy Lube. We've got you covered. Drive in today and make the switch to Pennzoil. Ask for Pennzoil Synthetics, getting you back on the road in a jiffy. Jiffy Lube, leave worry behind.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it! Back to the calls before we get on out of here real quick. Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. Let's go to Ian in New York. You're live with Stephen A. Go ahead real quick, Ian.
Good afternoon, Stephen A. Thanks for taking my call. Love the show.
Thank you. Go ahead, buddy.
Just wanted to get your take, given the uncertainties that the top four quarterbacks in this draft, if still available, do the Jets take Saquon Barkley at 3 and roll with Teddy Bridgewater?
We don't know what they're going to do, but I think they should take Barkley because I think the two primary concerns they have is that and their offensive line. And since Saquon Barkley can pass catch out of the backfield as well as run with the football, I'm of the mindset that you should take him number 2 overall instead of this kid Quentin Nelson out of Notre Dame, even though you need help with your offensive line. I think they should draft Barkley and then rest of their picks, they should focus on buffering that offensive line. I think that's what they've got to do if they want any kind of success whatsoever. Justin in Syracuse, you're live with Stephen A. Real quick, Justin, go.
How we doing, Stephen A? Real quick, I got a couple little points real quick. And I didn't know you were going to talk about Klay Thompson because I believe that's one of the best moves
brother,
you
said real quick and you ain't get to your point yet. Let's talk about that tomorrow. Make your points now.
Okay. All right, Syracuse. You know, I'm a native of SoCal, but I live in Syracuse right now. I think Boeheim's a little underrated. I think if you know basketball, which you do, I'm sure, that the whole process is you got to stop the team from scoring. That 2-3 zone over the years, he's shown that with less talent against all the other great coaches, he seems to in the tournament like 2 years ago.
You do know that you deserve to be hung up on, right? Jim Boeheim has been coaching in college basketball and at Syracuse since 1976. The man has 1,027 career victories on his resume and a national championship. What are you talking about? He's underrated. Who the hell underrated Jim Boeheim?
Before I leave, I'm saying he's underrated based on to the Tom Izzo's, the Krzyzewski's out there. You know what I mean? People don't look at him as how great that the 2-3 zone will be called.
That's not true. The problem with, well, first of all, John Chaney had a lot of success running his zone defense as well. Let's make sure we remember that. The great John Chaney, not ladies retired, but I wish him. I miss him. I miss my man. What a beautiful man he is. But the thing about it is, got to also remember that Jim Boeheim's been around for a long time, and the disintegration of the Big East. It's not what it once was. You got Creighton and other teams in the Big East. Everybody trying to hear that. You talk about the Big East, you talk about Georgetown, Syracuse, St. John's, cats like that, UConn. Without those teams, there ain't no damn Big East in a lot of people's minds. That had a lot to do with it. But we could talk about that and more another day. I'll be back in 22 hours. Until then, Stephen A. signing off. Peace and love, everybody.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.